Hey guys, welcome back to Signs of Life. Today we're jumping into something I really love, creating deep space ambient music. If you're new to this style or just looking to reconnect with the basics, this video is all about keeping things simple, flowing, and intentional. We're not chasing complexity here. We're building textures that breathe. Over the years, I've spent a lot of time in this space, through my solo project Synphaera and as part of Ascendant, and it's still something I return to because of how expansive and open it feels. I've learned a lot just by staying with the process, and I'm hoping to pass some of that knowledge on to you today. I'll also be showcasing a new plugin from Excite Audio called Motion Fractal, which brings a beautiful set of granular tools into a single, intuitive environment. With dual granular engines, flexible motion control, and a suite of effects, it delivers the kind of professional sound design you'd normally expect from much higher-end tools and hardware. I'm excited to show you how it fits into this kind of ambient workflow. So thanks for being here, thanks for supporting the channel, and let's go ahead and get started. Hey, what's going on guys? Chris here from Signs of Life. Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be building a deep space ambient track from scratch for beginners, hopefully in about 30 minutes or so. I'm using Ableton Live 12. Feel free to use any other DAW that you like. And I'll be using a mixture of free and paid software. But as a reminder, there are always free alternatives out there. So feel free to use whatever you do have. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and set our tempo up here. I'm going to set my tempo to around 77 beats per minute. And today I'll be playing in B minor. Now where I thought we'd start is with a nice pad from Cyclop. Cyclop is a free synthesizer, as many of you know, but it's a great way to kind of get started with the whole, ambient thing without having too much investment and also just kind of, getting your feet wet in synthesis. All right. So what I'm going to do is hit the init button right here at the top, and I'll go ahead and right click right in the middle of the iris and click Resyn V2. Now this is the resynthesis engine. Which means that, it's going to resynthesize some sounds using complex math. I don't really understand how it works, but, it's really cool. Peter really did give us a great free gift to the world. Anyway, so I'm going to use the collapse sign number 3. And you can hear, let me go ahead and play this. I will go ahead and play the collapse sign. It's a nice sort of like, sawy, siny wave. I like that. I like the timbre, right? So the first thing we're going to do is adjust the main ADSR. That stands for attack, decay, sustain, and release. So let's go ahead and adjust the ADSR here. You can either use the mouse to kind of move these across or just do it with the knobs. Maybe around 4.5, 5 seconds here. 5 seconds of decay. To make the release longer, you got to pull it to the left. So around 5 seconds here, and we'll leave the sustain somewhere right around here. And that sounded good. All right. Now you only have 6 voices with Cyclop, and how we can extend that and make it even further is go to the oscillator tab here, and we can turn on the oscillator tab, and we're gonna add 3 instances of the wave generation. So 1, 2, and 3, all right? And this is a really cool way to kind of get a thicker sound. In modular, we have different oscillators. You can export, saw waves, triangle waves, square waves all at the same time. Here we have a similar thing where you can just kind of click through, and now we have a saw, square, and a sine here all together. So listen to this. That sounds much different than just our collapse sine, right? I like that. Now you can turn on the unison on one of these, which gives us a little more stereo spread. Okay. And then you can adjust the mix to taste of all these. You can also make a nice drone here by kind of modulating these 3 mix knobs, just like you would in the modular world. That sounds really good. I like that. All right. Cool, so we're off to a good start here. Again, I'm just playing a basic minor chord here. We've adjusted our main ADSR, and we've added some wave generators right here in the oscillator path. Now, if we come over to the filter path here, what we can do is we can add this orbit. This is a crazy sort of modulation thing here. Turn down the character. All right, you adjust your flux to taste. I kind of like it right in the middle, right? And now what we'll do is we'll add a multi-mode filter, okay? So we're gonna have a multi-mode filter here in the middle, okay? And we can leave it on low pass 12 and then lower this amount down, all right? Now we got that nice soft pad sound. I like it. right, now let's do some modulation, okay? So over here you can see we have velocity, mod wheel, press. We also have three ADSRs. You have the main one, which controls the overall volume, and then you have 2 free ADSRs right here, envelopes, and then we have 3 LFOs. So let's go to LFO number 2, because LFO number 1 is already taken up doing this thing. So we'll come over to LFO number 2, and we'll turn off retrade. All right, that means this LFO is just gonna be free running. We'll also turn on sync. So now you see the BPM went to 77, all right? And now we will also switch this speed to around 4 bars, and we're gonna leave it in loop mode. So now we have a nice sine wave LFO that we can do whatever we want with, right? So we can come back over to the filter tab and click on the cutoff, and we can increase that amount right here with this empty wheel. And now you can see that our cutoff filter is moving based on that sine wave pattern we made earlier, okay? I like that. As a final touch here, we'll add one more module. We'll add a suite here, right after the filter. Oh yeah. That's nice. Oh yeah. I love it, right? Increase the out amount right here. Gives us a little more volume. Now let's click on the effects, all right? We'll add some effects here. We're gonna add a delay. Let's do a synced ping pong delay here. Make it dotted 8th note. Oh yeah. Very nice. We'll add a reverb here, maybe up the size, lower down the wet, increase the width, and finally we'll add a clouds reverb on the end. Increase the lush, increase the space, lower the earlies down, up the wet. Oh yeah. Maybe increase some of that volume again. So you can hear, with just a couple simple moves. One last final touch here. Let's modulate this. This is the frequency modulation of the iris, all right? Let's modulate that with an ADSR. So we use this one right here. Let's take the sustain all the way down and up the decay here. So we have around like a 3-second triangle, if you will. And then we'll use that. So this is selected. We'll come over to the ADSR one, number 1. Every time I press down the keys, you can see we get some FM. So there we go, with a free synthesizer, you know, and just a couple effects, like we're off and running. And again, for deep space ambient, like this is a great way to start. You just need to get going. You just need a little bit of texture, you know, kind of get your sound in place. But what could take this further? And that's the question. You know, what plugin, what effect could really take this to the next level? And that brings me to my sponsor of today's video, Excite Audio and their new granular plugin, Motion Fractal. Now, some of you might remember Excite Audio. This is the 3rd plugin in the Motion series. They also did a whole suite of playable instruments with the Bloom series, and they're also the team responsible for the fantastic visualizer plugin, Vision 4X. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at Motion Fractal here. Now you can see on the surface, this is a really interesting looking plugin. And there's a couple things that I want to tell you right away before we actually get into it. So, you know, this is a unique combination of effects here because we have a granular engine on board. We also have like a trance gate that they added, a repeater, which is almost like a ratchet kind of thing. And then they also added a reverb here, and those work in combination. So it's a very unique plugin in that way. And this hexagon here in the middle, they say that this is like the evolution of the XY pad, which I tend to agree with actually, now that I've gotten to use it. Because each one of these nodes, you can see my mouse is like attracting these nodes, can be used for modulation sources. And then you can record the motion and just kind of go crazy with this thing and let it sort of automate itself, which is very interesting. I mean, it's almost like 3D and 2D combined with modulation. It's pretty wild, right? So that's the other thing. The third thing is if you know, this is the default preset. We haven't played a note yet, but you know, if you do get stuck, there's over 250 presets in here. And from my experience using the plugin, all of them are quite good. So anyway, that's that. All right, so let's go and open up the plugin here. I'm gonna play some notes. And you know, this whole idea of granular synthesis, if you've never like used granular synthesis before, wonder what the hype is, you know, there's other plugins and hardware devices that can do this, namely like the hologram microcosm, the Instruo Arbor, the IntelliGel multigrain. I mean, these are all really expensive, like hardware devices and plugins, right? But here we have Motion Fractal, which does it for a fraction of the cost, and it's really quite good. And you can get those microcosm-like effects inside of this plugin. So, if you've never used granular synthesis before, this is a great time to sort of introduce that to you. So let's go ahead and just kind of go over the right-hand side here. Again, I clicked on this little button right here, and it opened up the whole granular menu, and I'm just holding down these notes. And what we see here is the recording buffer, and that's there on the bottom. And what's cool about Motion Fractal is it has 2 layers. So it's got layer 1 and layer 2. Let's just focus on layer 1 now. I'm gonna turn off layer 2 right here. And we'll come back to layer 1. And right now we're just hearing the dry signal because you can see dry is all the way up, right? If I wanna lower this down and then up the wet signal, okay, we're gonna start hearing some of these grains, okay? And a grain is simply a sample of audio, right? So you can see that the grain is just kind of moving along with this playhead. I can switch the playhead to manual here, right? And I can move the playhead all around that sample. So the recorder is constantly recording, and it's using what's called a buffer, which is this, the time distance of this entire recording sample right here, right? So I can switch the buffer to something long, right? Like that. Now it's not recording anything. Watch this. As soon as we get to a recorded spot, gives us some grains. You can shorten up the buffer, so it's only like a quarter note, okay? And it's really visual, so you kind of get the hang of it right away, right? So let's leave our buffer on like 1 bar, okay? And what we can do here is we can add some more grains. So the density right now is at 16th notes, but if I up it to, say 1/32, you can see that now we got a bunch more grains here. I can adjust the size here, okay? We have spreading them out a little bit, okay? Again, this can be unquantized or quantized. And where it really gets fun is when we start, moving the playhead around, your different sample, right? Or we start spreading these around by pan and by pitch. That's really fun, okay? So let's use the pitch knob right here. Again, you can just pitch this up by semitones, or you can quantize it by octaves, fourths, fifths, or both. Let's use octaves here just to kind of illustrate this. And you can see, oh yeah, we're going down a whole octave like this, right? But what if you can modulate that? Well, they've got automatic modulation right here with the spread. Oh yeah. So like right away, I mean, that just sounds good, right? We can adjust the direction so it's going backwards and forwards. Oh yeah. Fantastic. And again, this is the recorder. It's constantly recording. So if you play a new chord, if I play it higher, it's gonna be higher. If I play it lower, it's gonna be lower. I mean, this is just amazing, right? Really good stuff, right? So that's cool, but not only that, you also have 2 layers of it, right? Which could be really wild. So let's adjust the width here. Start moving it around in space, left and right. They got a shape control here. So right now you can see the shape on the bottom. Grain 1 there on the left-hand side is sort of like this kind of square shape. It can go all the way to like a nice sort of Gaussian sine wave shape, or they added a ramp, my favorite, the ramp. Yes. Oh, that sounds so good, right? Add some more wet here. I love it, I love it. Now, like I said, every single control here can be modulated. So we can modulate, say, the spread here and just drag it over to one of these nodes, all right? And you can set the minimum and maximum just like you would in, Serum, Vital, whatever, any plugin, right? So the modulation amount. So now, when I hover my mouse over this thing, I'm modulating the spread of the pitches just by doing this, all right? And you can record this, we'll talk about that later, but you can record all this, the motion, or just do it manually for like live performance stuff. It's really awesome, it's really awesome. So we can add a little dry signal back. Oh yeah. So let's do a second layer here. We'll turn on layer 2, okay? And we'll switch the buffer here to like, I don't know, half, there we go. And instead of, doing it octave, let's add a little more grains here. Change the direction. We can modulate the playhead itself with this one, okay? So now we're moving the playhead and we move around here. That's cool. We can also set the pitch to, say, fifths, okay? And we'll spread that on as fifths. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. So I'm playing behind here, and now, listen to this. Oh, yeah. So when guys say, oh, yeah, how do you make deep space ambient? Just use granular, bro. Now you know what they're talking about, right? Add some chaos here. All right, so that's the top part. Just basically the granular engine right here. Now, down here, you got a transgate, right? If you want to use it, you can hear, adjust the mix here, add some release on this. I mean, that's cool. It could be really useful for some like rhythmic stuff. You want to go down to 8 steps. Little skip step. Love a transgate though. Okay. This repeater here, this is interesting. Okay. And they also put sort of a pared down, reverb here. So if you're short on a reverb, turn it up. You know what I'm saying? Love it. Love it. But for our purposes, I think we're going to use Supermassive here. But there is a nice reverb on board. I just want to make that known. And now, let's talk about the other modulation capabilities here. Because, I put those 2 nodes here, and they're in motion. But how do you make this thing, do its thing, all right? Enter the recording section, okay? So we have the granular controls up here, and the gate and the repeat, and the space. And down here, we have these path controls, okay? So what you can do here is you can either draw like a line in, okay? And we can just draw this. We'll add some points here. Boom, boom, boom. So we're gonna draw something in a circle, right? And we'll come back and then we'll click off the draw. And now when we play this, you can see, oh, now our little, I don't know what they're calling this, the mouse cursor, it's moving around in a circle, which is cool. And now we can go back and we can add more, destinations. Let's add, say, the pitches here on this one. Okay, we'll add even the dry signal back with this one. We'll change the direction with this one. We'll change the density with this one. This is getting wild. My CPU is gonna blow up. But you guys get the idea, right? So now it's like we're getting different, aspects of this entire plugin that are being modulated here, like in time with the recording that we just set. That's a little too wild. That is just crazy. But if we don't like it, we can say, all right, let's like, slow down the time a little bit, yeah? There we go. Yeah. Very nice. So you can see, let's go ahead and add, say, a nice reverb on the end of this. You know what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm gonna do. Valhalla Supermassive right after this bad boy. Okay? Let's go ahead and grab Supermassive. Grab, say, Dark Pallades here. Oh yeah. So now listen to this. I mean, seriously. That's just absolutely gorgeous. And with 2 layers, some octave control, some modulation. I mean, this is just fantastic. You got a limiter here if you need it. In, out, wet. Now, what's also cool, this was a nice touch, is that instead of the whole, recording your own motion thing, they added path presets down here. So they've added all these simple paths. So if you want to just do a perfect circle without changing the preset they're using, boom. Now we got a perfect circle without changing the preset and all the settings. So it's like a preset on top of a preset. Yeah, nice job, Excite. That's a good one, right? That's a good one. I like that. So we got the transgate, we got the repeater. I mean, that's just gorgeous. I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh my God. I love this. Fantastic. Oh, so good. So, I mean, I really like this idea of, taking existing material and then using plugins like this over the top of it to kind of let it just, embellish what you're doing here. So check it out. The link is down below in the description. There's so many possibilities here. And like I said, the presets are quite good. So if the default's not doing it for you, just look for the presets. They're fantastic. Anyway, I want to thank Excite Audio for being the sponsor of today's video. And yeah, check it out. Link is down below in the description. I even think there's a light version too. So might be a code down there. But yeah, look forward to seeing where you guys take this. Okay, so now that we got our track sort of in motion here, we're off to a great start. We got Supermassive doing its thing. We got the motion fractal. This is a great start to a space ambient track, but it needs a little bit more. So in part 2, we're gonna take it to the next level, add a real nice foundation, bliss it out with some sequences, and take it beyond the stars. All right, so now that we got the foundation of our track established, it's time to add some bass. So there's a bunch of different options you can go with here. However, I'm gonna go with the old classic standby, and I'm gonna use Vital, all right? Let's make a nice deep ambient bass here in Vital, okay? The way I'm gonna do this is very simple. I'm gonna add a second oscillator here, and I'll make sure that oscillator is also going through filter 1. And then I'll change filter 1 from a 12 dB to a 24 low pass filter, okay? I'm gonna switch this to the factory basic shapes and put this on square. Okay, and if you're, a perfectionist, you can come over here, add basic shapes here, and make this a sawtooth, and there you go. So we have a sawtooth and a square wave going through the low pass filter here, which is set to 24 dB. Okay, so now if you go ahead and play a nice low B note, it's gonna sound something like this. You can move the filter around, hear what that sounds like. Very nice. Let's add some voices of unison here. So I'll add 3 voices here, 5 voices here, lower down the detune amount ever so slightly. And what we're gonna do is come over to the advanced tab and add a couple randoms here. So let's add 2 randoms and we'll sync them both up, okay? And this one will be 1/2. We'll drag this to the spectral spread. You can hold shift and make it bipolar. And then we'll use the second one and leave that on quarter notes and drag it over to the table spread. Now, when we play a nice low B note, you can see we've got some motion here. You can slow that down if you want. There we go. 2 randoms here. Yeah, moving our unison voices around in space. I love that. Oh yeah, very nice. All right, let's move this filter around, maybe with one of those randoms or even a third random, why not? So we'll go say 1/1 on this random and put that on the filter here. There we go, lower down its amount. And now, you can hear, we got a nice ambient bass here. Square wave, sawtooth. Let's go ahead and play our Cyclop track with motion fractal here. Put this through the bass bus. Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and play this. Oh yeah. Very nice. So you can hear, like, that foundation of the bass in Vital really does set us off in the right direction. You can play with the octaves here if you want to maybe lower down one of them by an octave. Oh, that's so heavy. I love it. I love it. But with the extra motion here from the random, you can even do one small little touch, modulate the detune percentage here with the other random. That's so good. Oh yeah. Slow this down to 2/1. Add some light compression here. Maybe we'll add a compressor, lower down its attack. Oh, fantastic. So it's really, greater than the sum of its parts, right? Oh yeah, let's go ahead and make a new MIDI clip here. Love it. As soon as that bass hits, man, oh, I am in outer space. All right. There we go, let's restart the entire composition. I just made a low B note here, a B0, all the way across. Let's go ahead and restart this. There we go. Very nice, very nice. So, do not forget the bass, all right? Just don't forget the bass. Gotta have bass in there. Let's go ahead and put a span on the end of our track here. Very nice, very nice. If it's phasing a little bit here, you can obviously, control your width here. In the unison spread, just lower this amount down a little bit. There we go. Lower down the stereo unison right here. Perfect. Okay, so we got our bass in here. We got motion fractal, cyclop. What's left? Well, I'm gonna light up a sequence here. Why not? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a sequence, and then we're gonna circle back around and add motion fractal on our sequence. Oh yes. Oh yes. So Serum 2, what can I say that has not been said before? Serum 2 is so good. It is just fantastic. I just released a brand new preset pack called Ancient Technology 3 for it. And it comes with these sequences, which I think is a great opportunity to use them because, you know, you just want something to kind of fill that space there, right? So there's 4 sequences here, right? I'm gonna choose the first one, division lines, okay? Let's go ahead and put this through the synth bus here, lower down the level a little bit, and we'll pick a nice note like, I don't know, B3. Let's try that. Oh yeah. Fantastic. Now, the reason why I chose to highlight this one is because you can hear I've drawn in all these different ramps here. It's got all this modulation. There's different macros here, modulate macro. Oh yeah. Space macro. You can have more delay if you want. Oh, that's so good. Love it, love it, love it. But we're gonna use motion fractal to modulate this entire thing. So let's go ahead and make an 8-bar MIDI clip here. Oh yeah, it's so good. We'll restart the entire thing one more time. Now this is where it gets really experimental because I haven't even tried this before. But I wanted to try it because I think it's kind of, you know, in good spirit here. Let's go to multi-effects, add motion fractal here to our sequence. Open up the granular section here, make this plugin a little bigger. And so we have, remember, from the lesson, we have our buffer running, okay? It's running, and we can adjust the density here. We can adjust the width, adjust the wet here, lower our dry down. So now we're just getting granulized bits and pieces of our sequence. But remember, we can quantize this by octaves and adjust the spread. Yes. So now we're getting this wild take on our sequence. Oh my God. Oh, that's fantastic. Let's add another layer here. We'll pitch this by fifths. Adjust the spread. So it's almost like we're getting other notes inside of our sequence notes. Oh my God. Let's add some delay here. Some reverb. Oh my God. I love it when a good idea comes together. Oh man. Oh, that's great. That's great. Let's go into those path presets. Let's do, say, how about 6 arcs? So now we got some motion, right? And we can start piling it on. So it's moving, it's moving. Let's come down here to the recording section, slow this down, okay? So we got nice, like it's almost like molecule pattern, right? And now we can start adding destinations. So we'll adjust the spread here, okay? We'll adjust the width with this one. Go to layer 2, adjust the spread over here, adjust the direction over here, adjust the width with this one. Oh my gosh. Adjust the shape with this one right here. You can double them up. They said there's an unlimited amount of modulation per assignment. Oh my God. That is freaking amazing. Wow. Just the power of this plugin. My goodness. All right. So we started off with Cyclop, which was a really great place to start. And then we moved into motion fractal. And I showed you guys how the power of granular can really be your ally, especially when you're trying to create deep space ambient. And, you know, when it's all said and done, putting the right elements together, using the right tools, that's what it's all about. So hopefully you guys got something from this today. I certainly had fun. Oh my gosh. This is the next Starterra track. I mean, right there. Anyway, I'll come on here and say goodbye. Thanks again for watching, you guys. I want to thank Excite Audio for sponsoring this video. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you learned something. If you want more tutorials like this, I am on Patreon. I do a 3-part series every single month. We go super deep there. We go into the composition, sound design, mixing and mastering. The whole thing is there for you. I'll leave the link down below in the description as well. And yeah, that's where we leave each other. Thanks again for being here. And I'll be back again with more videos just like this one real soon. In the meantime, take good care, you guys. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I'm Chris from Signs of Life. And we'll see you guys in the next video.